Welcome to ChampionsHeart. You can't play boxing. Featuring boxing addict Johnny Farache and friends from superfans to superstars. Let's roll.
Hey, boxing fans, I got a special treat for you today. We are going to chat with one of the best mitmans in the boxing business, introducing Mr. Kevin Gleason. How you doing,
What's
Jay?
going on, man? I love that introduction, bro.
Yes, sir. Love you very much, man. How you doing?
Good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Thanks for coming on. So let's jump right into it, man. You are a very well-known boxing trainer, and today I want to kind of take a look at the other side of boxing, because there's a lot more than just the fighter and there's his team around him. So go ahead, let everybody know a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump in.
As far as boxing goes, I started boxing when I was about 13 or 14 at Pines Pal. Just had an interest in doing it, man. I always, felt like I was, an athletic kid. I played baseball, hockey, stuff like that. Started boxing at about 13. For me, it was never something I took serious. It was just another sport, as well as, like I said, I cross-trained between, hockey, baseball. I wrestled in high school. So boxing was just one of those things I would do seasonal. My love for it actually kind of grew as I got a little bit older, when I was about like 24 or 25. Just wanting to train again and stuff like that. And I just got hooked on to just wanting to be around the gym and doing it, As far as my mentors go, I learned what had happened was I was about 25 or 26, and I wanted to just train again, not even like competitively, just to stay in shape. And I walked into an old training partner of mine. He actually owned the gym now, and he was a former world champion kickboxer, Scott McAdam. I started just training at his gym, and then he would pay me like $20 to hold mitts for him for like an hour. And he taught me all about holding mitts, to be honest with you. I mean, that was kind of where I got my foundation. And then over time, I'd pick up little tricks and trades from other guys, when I'd be in the gym over at Sweatbox, or, the local pals around here, Davy Pal, Pines Pal, stuff like that, or anything that I saw on social media that I really liked. But as far as like my foundation, it just kind of grew. Like, I saw different styles, and I just wanted to kind of come up with my own little system, and that was really how it all worked out for me.
Go over your system a little bit and talk about your training style.
Basically, what I do is everything I do is privately. It's one-on-one based. But prior to the quarantine, I was doing I would do either one-on-ones, or I do 3 to 4 man sessions, so mini sessions. That way, I just feel like if you're in a big boxing class, you're really not going to retain all the information that's being provided, because it's one trainer with, anywhere from 10 to 12 to 15 people in a class. It's hard to really focus and give detail to everybody in that class if you're one man. So I really felt like the best situation for myself was to do either privately or break it down into groups of, like I said, 3 to 4. That way I could focus. So I do about an hour session with each person, and I can give them as much detail as possible, because I feel like, details are the most important things in the field that we're in boxing.
So talk about those key components that you put together for a camp, say for your pro fighters.
It all depends on who's fighting. Everything is structured differently. I train anybody from somebody with 0 experience to an amateur to professionally. So if I'm training a professional, what I like to do is, if there's any video that I can get, I love watching fights. I'm a huge fan myself. So I'm one of those trainers. I hear people say they don't watch any film. I'll study as much film as I can. If there's film on somebody that we're fighting, I'm going to watch as much as I can and break down as much detail as I can. So from there, I just kind of try to go off of what, my strengths are in my fighter, and some of their weaknesses or their strengths, what I need to stay away from. So what I do is I try to see what I would do to how I would beat my fighter with the opponent's, tool set. So I just break down everything. I spend a lot of time with my fighter on what I like that he does well, what we can exploit on that fighter that we're fighting. So as far as the camp goes, obviously it depends on the length of the camp. If it's 6, 8, 12-week camp, what
Right.
we're going over, what details we're working, stuff like that, how conditioned the fighter is coming into camp.
Understood. So, and speaking of camp, talk about those different components of the camp, because obviously you got your striking, you got your conditioning, you got your nutrition, you got your mental wellness. So talk a little bit about those things.
It all really depends on the fighter. I mean, for me personally, I like the culture that I built in the gym. I like to make a very comfortable, training setting. So and a family vibe at that. Like I've been in other gyms and I've trained under other people and stuff like that. I feel like, yes, this is a business and whatnot, but you have to have that family vibe. So, when a fighter comes in and they're training and everything else, all those things are important. Just like you said, the nutrition, the mental health, the actual training itself, the sparring, etc. And it's got to be balanced. It has to be well balanced. You don't want a fighter burning out. So just like you said, the mental health, that, you're not overworking them and they're not doing too much or not taking on a big workload. Where they're getting to that point where they can't focus on what it is that they're doing. As far as what my job is, what I have here in this gym is I let Jeff takes the real, like he's the head, guy. He's the captain. He's the head coach. I'm just the assistant coach. And, I'll come in with my own ideas and things that we're going to work on, but I let Jeff kind of come up with the game plan and I just follow it. You know what I mean? I'm kind of like the worker ant, if you will. We're in Hollywood. We're right off of Young Circle.
What would you say are the top 3 attributes of a successful champion?
Man, there's so many to pick for. I think number 1 is, how far you're willing to go. So I guess you could say dedication, how dedicated you are to your craft and how hard you're willing to work. I think that's probably the most important part. Your will to win is also extremely important. I think that sometimes a guy that works harder can beat a guy that's more talented. I do believe that if you can out hustle and outwork a guy, you're going to, I really feel like, Andre Ward's probably my, top 3 favorite fighters all time. And I think that a lot of the guys he fought, maybe had better tools than he did, but he wouldn't be outworked. That was the slogan that he had. So I would say, the hard work, the dedication to your craft, your heart has to be in it. You know what I mean? Where you're willing to go to that, that last round, that champion's heart, the championship rounds. And I'd say your work ethic is really important too. You know what I mean? You have to be able to do the things that other guys don't want to do.
Right on. And that's boxing right there, baby. I'm gonna go back to your Mick style because I'm super impressed the way you work, guys. You have a couple, obviously you work on, you have techniques that you work on, then you work on some speed and tap type stuff too.
As far as the mitt work, it's funny, that was just something that I kind of picked up, and I saw that, that was always popular. That's always what gets the views. People want to see that stuff. It's cool. I knew that wasn't really what was important in training, but it would definitely get the viewers, the people that weren't interested. I always said when I was creating my business, as far as boxing goes, that anybody, if I'm on Instagram, anybody's going to look at my page that's into boxing, right? If you see it, you're going to check out that video, right? You're into boxing. But what's important to me is I want your mom, your sister, the people that don't like boxing or aren't into boxing to look at that and be like, wow, that's really impressive. So, and I wanted to captivate that and catch, people's eyes. That's where that like flashy mitt work started. And it just became over time. I'd start I'd build it up. Build it up. But, as I got more seasoned, especially with training fighters, I had to learn how to bridge that gap and mix up the two. You know what I mean? The flashy stuff is great for the fitness clients and the people that, want to enjoy boxing, but not want to get punched in the face and not want to actually get in there. But as far as the fighters go, you have to form a rhythm. And I think with my rhythm for my fighters, it just came over time, just mixing it up with different fighters, different styles. And then something that I really enjoyed, that worked for me, my system, like Kevin's system, rather than this guy or that guy's stuff. So it was really just practice, seeing what I liked, what I didn't like. That was really just how the whole mitt system came.
Beautiful. I love it. Talk a little bit about your fighters you're working with. You work with both MMA fighters and boxing fighters.
Yeah, correct. MMA, basically, I feel like MMA is way more popular in South Florida than boxing is, just because you have some major camps here. You have American Top Team, where, MMA fighters come from all over the world. You have the Hard Knocks, and now there's Stanford. People come from all over the world there. So really what happened with MMA was just I was training boxers, amateur boxers, and I started training a guy by the name of Miguel Baeza. He was the first real MMA fighter that I really trained. And then once he got successful and more success came, people started seeing that other MMA fighters, so they started coming in. So some of the fighters that I have Blake Davis, who's a pro boxer, Miguel Baeza, there you go, bad Davis, Miguel Baeza, Jim Allard, who was formerly in the UFC and in mixed martial arts. Now he's doing the bare knuckle boxing. Let's see, I have Rob Sanfilippo, Right now we have Eric Tudor, who just declared to go pro. He's 18 years old.
Wow, that's big news. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a couple of different pros that, come and go and through the gym.
Excellent, excellent. What you, I know you just had one of your MMA guys fight recently, and I apologize, I don't watch MMA myself, so
no worries.
Caramel Thunder, right? He just got
Caramel Thunder, yeah. That's Miguel Baeza. So
okay.
He's the guy that I've been with the longest. He was just that one, like you asked me what's the mindset and what attributes to be a world champion. I mean, he just has it, and I've known that. I've been training him, I think, since he was for about 9 years, something like that. And basically it just kind of grew from there. He would just be dedicated every day. He'd want to train every single day, and not for the social media or anything like that, just because he wanted to get better and better and better every day. So yeah, he just fought in Jacksonville against Matt Brown, and he knocked him out in the second round.
Okay, but when you go to your page, you're going to see a post where I think it was a fight before this of his, where you worked on a certain, I think it was a check hook or something like that, but you worked on something in camp, and he did it, boom, knocked the guy out in the octagon with it.
Yeah, that's kind of how it happened. I mean, that's the video that I watch is, I'll try to pick up on habits. I noticed that Matt Brown would come in, he'd either come in with a jab, but he'd carry his right hand low, or he'd come in with the left hook and he'd carry his hand low. So we worked on that a lot, those left hooks. We worked on just, different things that we could exploit off of a fighter. I like to try to figure you out before you get in there, Yeah,
that's the mental part of the game. Absolutely. Love it. Any of your fighters got anything coming up? I know big Blake Davis has July 25th on the books.
Blake has the July 25th. I'm not sure if Eric is going to be fighting on that card or not.
Highly touted amateur boxer Eric Tudor making his pro debut. That's news.
I'm not sure. We're in negotiations of that, trying to figure that out right now. I have Jim Allers. He's fighting July 30th, I believe. He's fighting, I think, the week after Blake does. So right now, those are the two guys. We're waiting on, obviously, the word from the UFC for Miguel. And then we're thinking about heading out to Punta Gorda for the amateur fights at Sugarbird with Sasha. I think that's August 30th or something like that. So,
nice.
We're trying to stay busy as we can be with this whole, coronavirus thing going on.
Yeah, segue right into my next and last topic here, coronavirus. Fuck you, coronavirus. But you certainly made good though, man. Now you were doing Zoom. Tell me how that changed your boxing training life a little bit. It changed all of our fucking lives.
I mean, yeah, man. You know what? It was one of those things. Like I said, here at the gym, it's a private facility. So if I'm not in here, I'm not making money. I don't do memberships. I don't do contracts. It's as per session I have you pay. So from there, I'm just lucky. I have a great foundation and I have a great clientele. And I think everybody wanted to work out during that time, like especially during that 15-day quarantine when you weren't allowed to do anything. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to transfer some of my sessions over to Zoom. I cut the prices in half, because I didn't want to hurt anybody's pockets. I knew a lot of people are out of work. So I was lucky enough that I had a lot of following. And then it kind of grew from there. As I promoted it, I trained people from Ireland, London, Australia. You got to meet a lot of different people. So it was really unique and it was cool. It was a great experience.
Nice. And how would you, speaking of the experience, not being face-to-face and training somebody in a boxing, that's how we really kind of, I'll do this, do that. So how would, how do you find that, screen-to-screen interaction?
I just, while doing that, it was tough. I just broke down a lot of detail. We just covered a lot of foot movement, a lot of punch placement, turning shots over, doing little things like that. Some clients, again, they're fitness boxing clients, so they just wanted to get a good workout. So we did a lot of, a ton of shadow boxing. That's all you really could do if you were lucky enough to have a bag. But mostly what I did during those sessions was just cover, details and the fundamentals of stuff.
Love the fundamentals, baby. The fundamentals. You can never stop going over the fundamentals and just working them, right?
Nope.
Yes,
100%, man.
Right on. So tell me what else you got working on right now before we go and let everybody know how they can get a hold of you.
That's really about it, man. We're just right now, we're kind of coming to a point where the gym is all built up. Because we've been building this thing up since January, putting the floors, the walls, the decor, the bags, et cetera, et cetera. So that was on the process of well-trained fighters. So that was really what we're just focused on, just getting back to business, man. Getting people in, getting fighters in, hopefully get some fights going on and staying busy.
Right on, right on, right on. So cool, man. So on our way out here, you said Andre Ward was one of your top 3 fighters of all time. Who are the other 2?
I'd have to think about that one for a good second. Andre Ward's probably, top 3. I'm a big Canelo Alvarez fan right now. I mean, are we talking current, past, anybody?
Of all time. Yeah.
Ali was my favorite fighter of all time. Not just because of how good he was, but, what he stood for, what he represented. And he was one of those guys that didn't just say something. He actually, stood for something. He would put some, muscle behind his words. So Muhammad Ali, probably Andre Ward. Man, I'd have to think about that, man. I don't have a specific order.
Right.
Pernell Whitaker.
Sweet.
I like a lot of flashiness. Yeah,
he was.
I guess you could say those are top guys. I love and have a love-hate relationship with Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, don't we all?
You can't not mention he's arguably one of the greatest of all time, so I can't not mention him, man. I mean, he's a master in the ring. He's
a master in the ring, a master out of the ring, a master at promotions. He wore that black cowboy hat better than anybody has ever wore that black cowboy hat.
Yeah. Yeah, I get, I'd have to write down a list and really chop it up to see who, my top 3 are, you know what I mean? I know that Ward is one of my favorites just because I felt like he was one of those guys who didn't have the attributes that a lot of guys that he fought, but he was just a hard worker. He'd outgrind you,
So, all right, my man. Once again, shout out your Instagrams to everybody. I'm going to have it down below, but go ahead and let everybody know they can get a hold of you.
My Instagram is Kevin_Gleason7. That's really how you can find me. That's my main platform. That's what I really go off of.
All right. Well, man, I appreciate you coming and talking to me today, Kev. I appreciate I'm going to see you again real soon.
Thank you, sir, man. I appreciate you having me on, brother.
All right, rock and roll. Yeah, all right, Kev. I appreciate you, brother. Get back to the boys. Tell everybody I said hi, and I'll see you soon.
All right, brother. Later, man. You can't play boxing, baby.
About.